Watch your back, Crawford. Watch your back. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's what it is. I don't care what anybody say. The cops sent a message. This our city. You might got the key, but I got the handcuffs. That's what that was. Yeah.
Imagine the scene. Thousands of people line the streets, their cheers echoing through downtown Omaha.
Picture the moment. Thousands of fans flooding the streets, their voices rising in unison as cheers ripple through downtown Omaha.
Una fosa con la otra, la colonia que me roba me quito amistades, pero así es puro para adelante, y la cosa es la que hay, y aquí no perdona.
They've gathered for one man, their hometown hero, Terence "Bud" Crawford.
Stepping out. Seatbelt.
I'm watching you. Seatbelt, step out.
I'm opening the door.
You can take
I'm
mine
opening the
off
door.
of me right here on my right. I'm keeping my fucking hands up.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro.
Step out. Can I move my phone? Step out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All that serious? You actually reach for one gun? Is all that necessary? You serious? This one, yeah, dude. Are you serious? Not that deep.
He's just accomplished the unthinkable, becoming the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. The city celebrates him with a grand parade. He's handed the key to Omaha, standing tall as a symbol of pride and perseverance. In that moment, he is the undisputed king of his world. But only hours later, that same king finds himself pulled from his car at gunpoint, hands raised, surrounded by flashing lights. Not treated as a hero, but as a threat.
After Omaha celebrated hometown boxing champ Bud Crawford's accomplishments with a parade, he's pulled over by Omaha police, setting off a firestorm on social media.
The celebration in Omaha wasn't just for another victory. It was for history. The city came together to honor a moment that forever etched Terence Crawford's name among boxing's immortals. Just weeks earlier in Las Vegas, he had stepped into the ring against the formidable Saul Canelo Alvarez and delivered a masterclass. By defeating Canelo, Crawford didn't just claim another title. He achieved what no male fighter in the modern four-belt era had ever done before, becoming the undisputed champion in 3 separate weight divisions. That feat placed him in a league entirely his own, solidify his legacy as one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters to ever live. Crawford wasn't merely a champion. He was a living legend walking through his hometown streets. Omaha's pride radiated from every corner in the weeks leading up to his parade. He embodied the city's fighting spirit, and in return, the community embraced him like one of their own. In a fitting tribute, Crawford was even invited to lead the Nebraska Cornhuskers football team onto the field, a symbolic moment that crowned him not just as a boxing hero, but as the state's favorite son.
Today is Bud Crawford's birthday. He turned 38. What happened at the traffic stop early this morning in downtown Omaha is now the subject of an internal investigation at the police department.
We'll hear from Crawford's security guard who was in the vehicle in a moment, plus reaction from the mayor. First, a breakdown of what police say took place this morning. Around 1:30 this morning, Omaha police say they spotted a vehicle driving recklessly near 12th and Capitol. This is near the Steel House where Crawford's after party was being held, which was attended by many, including Mayor Ewing. A traffic stop was conducted on Cass Street, a couple blocks to the north of there. Officers say they ordered everyone out of the vehicle for their safety when they saw a gun on the driver's floorboard. And only after that did they say they identified Bud Crawford by looking at his driver's license.
Crawford was more than an athlete. He was Omaha's pride made flesh, a symbol of what discipline, grit, and self-belief could achieve. To the city, he represented the very peak of success, proof that greatness could come from right there, from their own streets. And that's what makes what happened just a few hours later so deeply unsettling. Not merely shocking, but a heartbreaking betrayal of the very community he had carried on his shoulders with such pride.
Storm Bradley, you already know the rest. And I'm here to talk about that Terence Crawford incident, man. Dang. I swear, man, like, when things are going too damn good, man, something always gotta ruin it, man. You know? It's like, it's like back in the days when, you know, I used to sip on that syrup, bro, and we've all been there. And then somebody just bring down your high. that's how that was. I mean, Terence Crawford, he on the highest cloud, bro. And his city, let him know. Let him know. With this pullover, this was authorized. Think about that. Authorized to pull him over. That you ain't gonna never be bigger than us. That's what the cops.
According to the official police report, the incident began shortly before 1:30 a.m. Officers on patrol claimed they witnessed a vehicle driving recklessly and initiated a traffic stop. As they approached, one officer reported spotting a firearm on the driver's side floorboard. In an instant, the situation spiraled. Citing safety concerns, the officers drew their weapons and ordered all four occupants, including Terence Crawford, out of the car. Video footage of the encounter quickly flooded social media, showing the world's top pound-for-pound boxer standing in the street with his hands raised. Treated not as a national hero, but as a suspected criminal in his own hometown. Crawford was eventually cited for reckless driving and released. On paper, it appeared to be a tense but routine traffic stop. But then, former world champion Timothy Bradley Jr. stepped forward and dropped a bombshell perspective that changed everything.
I don't care what anybody say. The cops sent a message. This our city. You might got the key, but I got the handcuffs. You ain't got no city unless you got the police. Don't ever forget that. You gotta have the law enforcement on your side, man. They gotta be looking out for you. For the good, not for the bad, for the good.
Timothy Bradley Jr., a respected analyst celebrated for his sharp eye and fearless honesty, wasn't buying the official story. He dismissed the idea that this was about reckless driving or officer safety. To him, it felt like something far more deliberate. A calculated message aimed directly at the city's biggest star. Bradley described in the most chilling terms imaginable.
Terence Crawford is so revered now, right? Because he's the best boxer in the world. And they can't beat him inside the ring. But what they can do is show him his place outside the ring. That's what this was, okay? Yes, they knew who he was. That's the point. Y'all keep saying, man, they knew who he was. Yes, they knew who he was. That's the point.
He argued that the entire stop wasn't random at all. It was orchestrated with intent. Its purpose, Bradley claimed, was to put Crawford back in his place and remind him who really holds the power in Omaha.
And tell me you did not understand who this man was or know who this man was on the day that the city was shut down for this man, Terence Crawford. And it's his birthday, the same day that this man is being handed the keys to the city. And then to pull him out of the car and then handcuff him?
This cop did it. Come on, dude. Not knowing who he is, this cop's trying to become famous, bro. That's crazy.
Even the mayor had to publicly write a letter of apology. He's pulled over, which is perfectly normal. At no point did this man get belligerent. Why was this man pulled out of his car and handcuffed?
I think he knew, like he did that to get famous. Like he did that to get attention.
I understand there was a gun in the car. He did notify him of that. But why was he pulled out of the car?
Certain cops have like a different style, bro. They get that ego stroke, feeling that power over somebody.
This wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. It was, in Bradley's view, a deliberate act of humiliation. A calculated effort to drag a hero down the moment he reached his highest peak. To remind him that even kings can be humbled.
Terence Crawford, it don't matter what you do for your city, man. Bruh, I'm letting you know right now, man. With this incident right here, they waiting on you to do something bad. This dude right here, he was trying to jack you. He was trying to catch you slipping. That's all it was. Seeing you on TV, displayed all on TV, parade shut down and stuff. He gotta be, securing certain points and stuff like that. He mad to see you be as big as you are.
But why would police officers in his own city want to humiliate him? According to Bradley, the answer lies in one of the oldest and most corrosive human emotions, raw, unfiltered jealousy.
Way around it, jealousy and envy. Oh yeah, it runs deep through people. Yeah, it do. Yeah. And this young gun or whoever the hell he is, and I hope I hope he be reprimanded, man. Put you in handcuffs in your city. Bruh, in your city in handcuffs. But this is the reality we live in, people. This is the reality we live in, man. You can be doing everything right, man. There's always somebody trying to bring you down.
Bradley painted a vivid picture of resentment simmering beneath the surface. He said those officers were seething as they watched Crawford's victory parade. The streets shut down, the city celebrating its hero. In their eyes, he had grown too powerful, too admired, bigger than them, and bigger than the very institution they served. Bradley put it bluntly.
And who can get to receive his second key to the city and have a firearm pulled on him by the Omaha Police Department all in the same day. Imagine that. Man, I thought we were getting ready to lose our lives. Oh man, it was terrible. It was terrible.
It was a shocking accusation that the very people sworn to protect and serve were instead fueled by something as small as envy. Bradley suggested they couldn't stand seeing a local hero shine so brightly, so they waited for a moment to bring him down. And when Crawford did make a mistake, they created a moment that made it look like he had. According to the official police report, officers claimed they spotted a firearm on the driver's side floorboard, prompting them to draw their weapons. But Qasim Chavez, Crawford's head of security, who was in the car that night, directly disputes that account. Chavez says Crawford had already told the officers he didn't have his license or registration on him. He'd left them at home. In other words, he never reached for anything at all.
As soon as he said he had a firearm, the police officer that was on his side became unhinged. I literally had my hands on top of the ceiling and the inside of the vehicle. He never see a pistol, he never see a firearm anywhere. They didn't even see the firearm on me because of the way I was positioned in the vehicle. There was no reason to have drawn guns on us. And no matter how prepared you are, no matter how calm you are, if you run into a rogue police officer who wants to escalate, then he's going to escalate.
Chavez alleges the situation truly spiraled when Crawford, who is legally licensed carry, calmly informed the officers, "I have a firearm too." That single statement, a simple act of transparency, was what set everything off. According to Chavez, there was no weapon visible on the floorboard at all. Instead, the officer on Crawford's side allegedly snapped, becoming completely unhinged. In an instant, the energy shifted from routine to chaos. Guns were drawn, commands were shouted, and within seconds, the undisputed champion of the world was standing in the middle of the street, hands raised, surrounded by flashing lights. Not as a celebrated hero, but as a man being treated like a threat.
I thought in that moment for us, I said, you know what? I better tell the truth. I said, hey man, I saw some honeys. Let them know, I'm out here wilding out. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I was wilding a little bit out here, man. I blew my clutch. Oh, okay. All right. You need a ride home? Cops say that to me. How you gonna get home? I'm like, thinking to myself, like, really? Damn. He know I'm drunk. He can smell it on my breath. I see him coming up close to me. I'm trying to bag up. I'm roasted. I was just driving the whip. I'm intoxicated. He could take me in right now. No, he didn't. He looked out for your boy. Kept my image intact. Yeah. Law enforcement, Palm Springs PD, looked out for your boy.
Highlighting the terrifying nature of the encounter, further deepening the controversy, Crawford's team began dismantling the police's story piece by piece. The officers' justification for the stop, reckless driving, began to crumble under scrutiny. They admitted they had no radar equipment that night, meaning they couldn't actually verify any speeding. That revelation cast the entire incident in a disturbing new light. It suggested this wasn't a lawful stop at all, but a manufactured encounter, engineered to assert control over a man whose fame had outgrown their comfort zone. It painted a chilling picture. Officers not enforcing justice, but seeking confrontation, determined to humble Omaha's brightest star, even if they had to invent a reason to do it. To show just how personal and twisted this could be, Timothy Bradley shared a jaw-dropping story from his own past, one that underscores a deep contrast in how these situations can play out. Years ago, long before he became a world champion, Bradley was out late one night in Palm Springs. By his own admission, he was drunk, reckless, and acting a fool, revving his sports car, spinning donuts in the street, until he blew out his clutch and came to a stop. Moments later, the red and blue lights flashed behind him. He knew he was caught, dead to rights, and expected the worst. But instead of arresting him, one of the officers recognized him. He knew Bradley, knew his father, knew what he meant to the local community. And instead of humiliation, Bradley got grace. The officer simply said, "Hey, champ, you need a ride home?" In Palm Springs, the police looked out for him.
Ain't right, man. And it shouldn't happen. And I hope something happened to that officer, man, that put you in handcuffs, bro, because if you know anything about the state of Nebraska, you have the right to carry. You do, even in your vehicle. Yeah. And so when they do these routine stops or whatever, tail light out or whatever, they pulling people out the car like that, putting them in handcuffs because they got a pistol on them, which is legal in the state. That's what they doing with everybody? I highly damn doubt that.
They saw a local hero, even one making a foolish mistake, and chose to protect his image rather than tear it down. They gave him a pass. This incredible contrast lays the truth bare. Bradley, who was admittedly drunk, reckless, and breaking multiple laws, was shielded. Crawford, by contrast, was stone sober, sitting in his car with a legally owned firearm, and was treated like a violent criminal. The disparity reveals everything about the intent behind that late-night stop. It wasn't about law enforcement. It was about control, about reminding a man who had just conquered the boxing world that in his own city, he could still be brought to his knees. An entire justification for the officer's guns-drawn approach rests on one flimsy detail: the claim that an officer saw a firearm on the floorboard. But this is precisely where the official story collapses under its own weight. As Timothy Bradley furiously pointed out, Nebraska is a constitutional carry state. It is perfectly legal to possess and transport a firearm in your vehicle. Crawford had broken no law by having one. There was no threat, no brandishing, no aggression. The officer's reaction, drawing their guns and treating him like a suspect in a violent felony, wasn't protocol. It was punishment.
I was briefed this morning and my heart sank, to be quite honest. So I was heartbroken that something that was so good would then have an issue that would potentially have people concerned about police-community relations. Most important thing I think that Bud and I talked about is that we would have a thorough investigation and that we would be completely transparent in that investigation.
In fact, law enforcement would later confirm that both Crawford and his security team were legally authorized to carry firearms. And that revelation raises one unavoidable question, one that shatters the official narrative. Are Omaha police officers pulling every legally armed citizen from their car at gunpoint during traffic stops? The answer, of course, is no. This wasn't standard protocol. This was a decision, one seemingly made because of who was behind the wheel. What should have been a routine encounter was turned into a public show of dominance, a legal right twisted into an excuse for humiliation. It's difficult to see it as anything other than a targeted act, not driven by Crawford's behavior, but by his identity, by the status and spotlight that came with his name. An incident this explosive, involving one of the most admired figures in the city's history, couldn't simply fade away. The footage spread like wildfire, igniting outrage far beyond Omaha's borders and forcing city officials to confront what had happened. Omaha's mayor, John Ewing, released a somber statement, admitting his heart sank when he learned how Crawford's triumphant day had ended. He said he spoke personally with the champion and recognized the gravity of the situation, conceding that the incident had caused real damage to the fragile trust between the community and its police force.